So the recording has started. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Sahil is currently pursuing CA articleship. Great. Okay. So first of all, everybody, welcome to episode number 6. I'm taking profile specific interviews because a lot of CAs reach out to me after like they become CA, and even for articleship they want to go into which profile. They are very, very confused. Even me, like as a CA, like because there are a lot of profiles and everyone not not every person gets to work in every profile in a complete way. So सबको आइडिया चाहिए होता है and they want to know like how a specific profile is being managed, and then how it is being worked upon at the base level, ground level पे कैसे होता है. So in this series, we are in episode number 6 about the most important and like very niche profile, indirect taxation. I've seen various articleship students and post qualification CAs like they have shown interest towards this particular profile, and very limited entry, or might be like people who have less experience, people who have experience in their articleship are being considered for the post qualification. There are a lot of myths around this, and even I'm very curious to know what Sakshi would say today. So I'm very, very privileged, very lucky, and to have such avid and a very eminent speakers actually today we have in this webinar. So let me introduce you guys, introduce Sakshi today. Uh, the like the words won't be enough. It will take time, guys, 1 to 2 minutes to introduce her. So Sakshi is a CA. She is presently working in the field of indirect tax advisory and litigation at ENY Kolkata, and she has also worked with PwC post qualification as a CA. She has been nominated as a special invitee to research committee of EIRC of ICAI. She's a very distinguished speaker in the Eastern India Region Council, guys, and she's also part of the IDT committee of ACAE CA Study Circle. She's a regular speaker on GST at various forums. She has been a frequent paper presenter at various national as well as international conferences organized by our institute on various topics related to GST. And that was the first time when I heard about Sakshi, like from my seniors. There is one very talented speaker, like she speaks across the national conference. That's when I first heard about Sakshi. And then she has also represented ICAI at the 33rd International CA Students Conference, Sri Lanka. As an Indian delegate, very, very, very limited students get this opportunity, and she has represented at the international level, guys. And she posts informative content on GST on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. She has co-founded the brand My TaxPort, and she has also has a follower base of around 33,000 on LinkedIn. She's an avid writer and she posts her articles on various websites like Taxman, TMI, and various professional journals. So the introduction just goes on, and a lot of things might add up on after the session. So we are very, very lucky to have you, Sakshi. So any words to say before I start with my questions? I have a lot to ask to you.
Thank you so much, Sai, for such a warm introduction. Already feeling quite comfortable here. So, firstly, I would like to say that you're doing a wonderful job by actually, inviting people working across different fields for the benefit of the fraternity at large, to be honest, because students generally tend to be a little confused about, what is the field that we should choose, what is the kind of life that we are going to live after that, what is the work
Yes,
life balance that we see in this particular field, what is the kind of work we have to do, and
yes,
there are n number of questions. And to be honest, had this had something like this been there when I was a student, then probably things would have been a little different for me. So yes, kudos to you for doing such a great job for the fraternity at large. Wonderful.
thank you so much, Sakshi. Really means a lot to me. So first of all, my first I really want to know about your CA journey, like how it happened, what made you join CA, what motivated you, and how was your articleship experience, like, and then what was your post qualification. I really want to know up to till date, till the day you joined CA. So can you
All
share with
right.
us?
Yeah, definitely. So, first of all, coming from a Marwadi family, CA was something that, has been like actually told to me by my family members ever since I was in school also that
Great.
ठीक है, whatever you want to do, you do, CA तो करना ही है. It was like that. So yeah,
I
so
get it.
that is how, my journey, began. And to be very honest, I was honestly never inclined towards chartered accountancy because, when you're a child, when you're a student in school, you don't really know a lot about like this course because this is
Yes.
something which is never really taught to you in school. There's nothing that you learn. You don't learn taxes in school. You don't
Mm.
learn law in school. So you don't like really know a lot about this particular field. But yes, people like keep talking about MBA, engineering, IIT jana hai, etc., etc. So all that is like really hyped around you. As a student, I always had an inclination towards law because like see, I've seen a lot of people who are advocates around me and also CAs for that matter.
Okay.
But then
Okay.
somehow law was something which intrigued me because when you're maybe working, there's some sort. I mean, when you're studying also, maybe there was a time when my dad he just came up with this particular affidavit. It was some property related some work, and he just came up to me with that, and he was like कि इसमें थोड़ा बहुत कुछ changes करना है तुम करके दे दो. It was very normal. Okay, so I was in class 10 and I just made some changes in that. And one of our relatives who is an advocate, he's like कि वो क्या law पढ़ रही है साक्षी. And my dad was like, no, 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 she's in school right now. And that's when I just felt कि nahi, this is also something which I can probably think of. And then we had like an aptitude test in school, and we had career counselors coming in. And in my aptitude test and the psychometric test which I had given, even then I got this result that I have an aptitude towards law and I should probably think of corporate law as a profession.
Great.
But somehow again, like I mentioned, coming from a Marwadi family, CA to karna hi hai. And after class 12, like I started preparing for my CPT, and CPT just like went about जैसे class 12 का निकला वैसे ही CPT हो गया. And when I started my intermediate classes, that's when it actually hit me that, oh, I am doing CA now. So
Yes.
yeah, so that's when I actually realized that okay, now I am into this course. And of course, intermediate also went about the way it should. I mean, I was studying, I had my classes, and yes, I cleared my intermediate also in the first attempt.
Great.
After that is, when the entire merry-go-round started, and that's when reality actually hit me. So during my tuitions itself, my teacher, my cost and FM teacher, he had his CA firm, and he like proposed this idea to me that I can do my articleship in his firm. So
Okay.
then I was like, fine. I mean, I can give it a shot. I gave only one interview for my
Okay.
articleship, and I
Okay.
joined over there.
Okay.
So to be honest, first few months I was not happy with my work at all.
Okay.
I was doing vouching, I was assisting seniors, I was doing some accounting as well. And then I realized, boss, this is not something that I want to do. ये तो
Yes.
नहीं कर सकती हूँ मैं 3 years. This is not what I want to do. So I
Hmm.
just went up to my principal. I told him, sir, this is like really not working. I don't want to do this work.
Hmm.
I want to transfer. And this was like
Hmm.
within the first 4 5 months of my articleship. And I'll tell you the timing. GST was introduced in July 2017, and
Yes.
this conversation is happening somewhere in the end of May 2017.
Okay. Okay.
And that's when my principal he told me, "Fine, you're not liking the work, right?" I was like, "Yes, I will shift you to the indirect tax department. I'll be looking after GST. You will be working with me. You will be moved to the GST department. Work for 1 month, and then you take a call. What do you want to do?"
Okay.
I was like, fine, I'll try that also. And during this time, like, I had this thing in my mind that eventually, maybe after completing CA, I'll do MBA. I want to do something related to finance and all of that. You keep thinking about different
होता
things.
है.
So that is,
Hmm.
that was there in my mind.
Hmm.
And then I started working in GST. So like that is when GST was introduced. So the
Hmm.
kind of work was more research oriented. We were
Hmm.
doing industry specific analysis, like what is the implication of GST on a particular industry.
Hmm.
Specific clients had asked us to do an impact assessment and all of that. So it was more of research, reading, writing, interpreting. And in that course I started learning interpretation of taxing statutes also.
Great.
And genuinely I started developing an interest. So within 2 months of working in GST, again my principal called me. He's like, now tell me, Sakshi, we had a conversation a few months ago. What do you think about it now? Do you want to continue? I was like, yes, yes, sir, definitely. I'm really enjoying this work. So, of course, that's how, I started, like, I got into GST. Probably this is something that was destined to happen.
Yes,
So,
you're right.
and probably maybe I was lucky enough to actually, everything just fell into its place. It
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
coincided.
Right.
And then, yeah, so I started working in GST. And gradually, the kind of work kept changing from, impact assessments to a little bit of compliance to a little high level advisory, etc. And that's how it went about. And during this time, around December 2017, I got to know that the institute organizes conferences. So I was not
Hmm.
aware. Till then, I was
Hmm.
not aware about, all of
Same.
this happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this is something you get to know from your friends.
Yes.
So, yeah, just, one of my CA final tuitions had started. So I was like in one of the classes, and one of my classmates, he just mentioned to me about this thing. I was like, wow, this is interesting. Let's do it. Again,
Hmm.
it was something very impulsively. I just thought about it because, see, so as a student in school, I was not like really active in participating in a lot of these stage activities and
Hmm.
events happening and all. But this is something which actually excited me a lot always.
Right.
Gradually, I had started, but I was not like very frequent, during school. So
Hmm.
then I was like, fine, let's try it. And the first paper I submitted was in Ahmedabad, and I got selected. And I went there, and the first time I spoke in front of a large crowd. The crowd was of about 900 students.
Yes.
And I really, really, really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is something I will do it. There is no looking back. ये तो करना ही है मुझे.
Yes.
And yeah, so then I started taking part in a lot of conferences. And one thing that was consistent was my topic, and that was GST. So if you can
Right.
see the timing, GST was just introduced. So every
Yeah.
conference had a GST topic,
GST.
right?
Yes. They had one particular
Ex-
session, like 3 to 4 topics will be
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So, actually, that helped me with, learning a little more about a specific topic because I would research, then I have to
Hmm.
talk on that. So,
Hmm.
obviously, you will get to know a little more about that subject. So, I
Yes.
spoke on GST. So, I've presented paper at Ahmedabad, Surat, Raipur, Amritsar, and also international conference was in Ahmedabad in 2019. That was also on GST. So
Great.
luckily, I got a GST topic in an international conference.
Yes.
So yeah. So and after that, I got the opportunity of going to Sri Lanka. We were eight delegates selected from across India,
Yes.
and that was like once in a lifetime kind of an
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So you get to network, you get to meet a lot of people, and during this entire tenure of almost around 2 years, I realized that not just GST, I have also been able to network with a lot of people. What I've gained is not just knowledge of GST, but personal branding, visibility, and that's when I started actually being active on LinkedIn as well. So
Hmm.
everything actually went hand in hand for me.
Yes.
But the funny part is that just around 2019, I'll tell you, again my principal asked me, what do you want to do after you qualify, or like how do you see your career in GST going forward.
Right.
And I very candidly told him that I don't know what I want to do, but at least I don't want to do litigation. It's really
Acha.
boring. That I
Okay.
mean, that was my statement. It's so
Okay.
boring. I don't want to do litigation. It's very monotonous. I'll not do
I
this
think you're
work.
presently in litigation.
Exactly.
Yes,
So
yes. Now I'm very interested. Yeah, go ahead.
I was very candid about it. I was like, litigation तो मुझे नहीं करना है. I'll do something else. Probably I'll go into finance or something, or maybe FP&A of some company. GST में ठीक है. I've learned a lot of GST. And honestly, he was very shocked that time because I was doing good work. I mean, that was
Hmm.
his feedback. I was doing good
Hmm.
work, so he was really amazed. And that is exactly the time when litigations actually started happening. So,
Hmm.
we had notices coming in, assessments, audits happening, and all.
Hmm.
And of course, I mean, I was doing my articleship under that particular domain. So I started working in litigation. Once I started working in litigation, I developed interest over there.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it was so interesting for me that I'll tell you, I have also done my LLB. I
Great.
mean, I was like, I want to do this. I will definitely probably pursue my career in litigation, hardcore litigation, High Court, Supreme Court. Like that
Nice.
is what was the kind of feeling I got, that this is something I really enjoy doing, because
Hmm.
obviously we were researching, we were reading a lot, we were drafting, and every time you get some different matter you read, you get to learn a lot in this entire
Yes.
process.
Yes.
So like prior to being qualified as a CA, so my CA final, I had given two attempts, and
Okay.
then I became a CA. So I'm not a first attempt CA.
Arre.
And honestly, I'll tell you, the time period of those two attempts which I gave. So first attempt I actually deferred, and after that I gave two attempts. So first attempt I deferred because I had just come back from Sri Lanka, and
Hmm.
then I thought that no point, I know it's
Hmm.
not going to happen, so it's better I
Hmm.
defer it. And then I gave two attempts. So in that period, the kind of learning which happened, that was like top notch, to be honest, because my articleship was over. I worked with an advocate in Kolkata in a law firm. So
Okay.
over there, I actually got the right kind of flavor of litigation in terms of, drafting writ petitions, high court cases. I actually attended a high court case. And
Okay.
yeah, so we read through documents, filed before the Supreme Court, rejoinder affidavits, and all of that. So it was like really, really interesting. And I was like, this is what I want my career to be in. And plus, we got a little bit of flavor of other laws as well, like SEBI,
Hmm.
FEMA, etc. Because when you're working in a law firm, like you get to work across different laws.
Hmm.
And then, like, I moved to PwC. With PwC, I got an exposure of technology also, because Big Fours, they use technology in their compliances. So yes, I got an idea of that as well. So we were doing a little bit of compliances, advisory, and litigation. And then moving to EY, this was like hardcore advisory and litigation profile. So this actually has brought me back to the time when I had just started my GST
Hmm.
career, because again, a lot of reading, researching, writing, and yeah. So that's how I've reached this place where I'm actually working in litigations full time.
That
Yeah.
is like extraordinary. Like it will be a small word because like it was destined. I was about to use that word you told by yourself. It was destined for you to like for the GST.
Absolutely,
It just
absolutely.
coincided, the timelines coincided, and it was meant for you. And it really feels nice to hear all this. And like coming to your interview experiences at your
Hmm.
articleship and for your EY and whatever interview experiences you had across your CA journey, can you just explain them and what kind of questions you faced even for the IDT profile? So can you just bring them?
Right. So, I'll tell you, I have interviewed with three of the Big Fours,
Okay,
and I have interviewed with two law firms as well. And touchwood, luckily, I have cracked all of them. And
great. You had to.
I'll so no, I'll just tell you the strategy which you should follow when you're interviewing in
Yes.
an IDT profile, because that actually worked for me, and I'm sure it's going to work for all of us if we are looking, eyeing to make a career in IDT. So there's one very important aspect, and that is your CV.
Okay.
Whatever you write in your CV, please make sure you are well versed with it because
Right.
questions are going to come from there.
Yes.
So, like if at all I have to update my CV today and
Hmm.
say there is some kind of an assignment which I've mentioned in my CV which pertain to maybe 3 years ago or 4 years ago, but I can't recall that now. It may so happen, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
would prefer to delete it off.
Hmm. Right.
Delete it. Just
Yes.
be sure, even if you have honestly worked on it, but you cannot recall, and when the interviewer asks you a question and you're not able to answer, it creates a very, very wrong impression. So,
Yes.
whatever is there in your CV, be aware of that. I'm
Right.
telling you, in EY interview as well as PwC interview, most of my questions were from the CV itself. They were like,
Okay.
okay, they glanced through my CV. Okay, you have worked on so and so, but I mean, so and so assignment. What was there in this? What was the opinion you gave? What is your view on this? Are you aligned with it? What was the client's reaction? What was the department's reaction? Was there any further litigation which happened? So, they actually drill down that particular, a single assignment. And what happens is, especially when, you're working maybe in the same city when you are just relocating, I mean, you're just shifting your organization within the same city, you will see that a lot of issues which happen. Generally, you have the same kind of an industry, maybe a different client working in PwC and you have a different client in EY. So, they face similar issues. So it
Hmm.
may so happen that they have also worked on the same issue.
Right.
Right. So, in that case, what happens is that they also feel that they also have some counter questions. If you have actually dug in deep into that particular topic, you will also be able to give your views on that. So, that actually leads to a very healthy discussion. And the moment your interview converts into a discussion, that's when you know you've cracked it.
Yes.
So that is one very important aspect. The second important aspect which I followed in all the interviews which I gave was carry some material with you, some article you have written, some research you have done. Like what I would do is that maybe 2 3 articles which I've written on some topic which is relevant for GST, I used to carry that. And second, maybe I've researched on a particular topic or I've worked on a particular opinion or notice, then I would just carry a notes on arguments. So basically, you just write the topic and you write your grounds or the various, basis on which you've given your opinion and the case laws or maybe the points which you've used to substantiate that. But once you present that to the interviewer actually feels that yes, there is something that you've done, you've actually given in some effort in your work. And the third most important thing for interviews is you need to be updated because this is
Yes.
one profile which, I mean, GST is something that's continuously changing. You
Yes.
have n number of notifications, circulars, clarifications coming from the department. So be aware about the changes. So at least for the last, maybe the last 6 months, what were the changes which happened? What are the landmark decisions which came? These are the various important aspects, which the interviewer actually looks for in a candidate. So,
Right.
this has actually also helped me because I kept reading always. So, if there's something, some update which the interviewer wanted me to know about. So that is something that if you're answering well, then definitely you're going to have a good chance in that particular interview. And this was across all organizations, common for all organizations.
Great. Like, especially the second tip, like I'm hearing it for the first time. That is like a really, really good tip. And it shows that you have put in up like your particular self-interest into that profile and you are really passionate about it and you are proving it to them.
Exactly.
But exactly how would you place it in between the interview? Like how would you bring it like in between the
Right.
conversation? Like, can you just explain?
Yeah, sure. So, normally when you go for an interview, you present your CV,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Present your CV, articles, and all the material in the very beginning itself,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Right.
And what I've noticed is that I'm not sure about other profiles, but what I've noticed is that, there'll be one or two, those moments in the interview wherein you can take the lead. They will give you an
Hmm.
opportunity to take the lead. If you just think critically about it, there'll be some pauses, some sort of, a general chat with the interviewer, wherein the interviewer will give you an opportunity to present something. The interviewer may ask you a very candid question like, tell me about an assignment which was very engaging, or which was very interesting for you, or maybe something that you really enjoyed working on. That's your moment, that's your opportunity to present. And you present over there, and you can maybe refer to those, whatever written
Hmm.
material
Hmm.
you've
Hmm. Hmm.
carried
Hmm. Hmm.
or
Hmm.
something. Definitely you'll get this kind of an option. Or maybe if
Yes.
the interviewer maybe asks you, do you want to ask something, do you have some questions, then maybe instead of asking a question, maybe portray this thing in front of them.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
Right.
sir, have you worked on this particular thing, this was very interesting, what is your view on this? You can also
Great.
ask. So that's
Great.
how you actually create an impact.
Yes, like this is one of the biggest tips. You have to provide the direction for the interview, like from yourself.
Absolutely, you have to
Yes,
lead your interview. If
yes,
you are
yes,
leading it, you have cracked it.
yes, yeah, right. If the ball falls in your court, then like it's
Yeah,
almost
just
half
grab
won.
it.
Yes,
Exactly,
yes, yes,
exactly.
right, right. And like how many rounds of interviews you had? Like generally I heard director round, partner round, or manager round like
Yeah.
that. So how many rounds did you have?
Normally, in all the organizations, there are two rounds. One
Okay.
is the technical round, which the manager, senior manager, or
Hmm.
director
Hmm.
they take. Basically, in whoever's team you're going to be working,
Hmm.
they will take that particular interview. And the next round is the partner round, wherein the
Okay.
partner, and generally the technical round is the one with the manager or senior
Yes.
manager, and the partner round is less technical. But yes, they, maybe they will just ask you one or two questions, and they will actually ask you very general questions, when it's the partners round. But yeah, you have two rounds in general.
Okay, how much time did they happen? Like it did they go for 30, 40 minutes or 1 hour? Like the interview span for
Okay, so I'll tell you, EY's interview, the manager round, it was for almost 2 hours.
what?
It was for 2 hours. We were like, literally, there was a point where we just started talking.
Okay. You
So,
won the game, so it just continued. Huh.
so yeah, so it was actually for 2 hours, but that's an exception. That's an exception.
Yes, yeah.
Normally, your interviews would last from about 45 minutes to 1 hour, the first round, and the second round, partner round, is generally for half an hour. If
Okay.
you are able to, I mean, what my takeaway is that if the interview actually stretches beyond the allotted time,
Hmm.
you have actually won it.
Won it, yes. I have like
Yes.
I had my industrial training interview with UBS like during that
Yeah.
time during my
Okay.
articleship. So it was for 15 to 20 minutes they allotted, but it went for 45 minutes or 1 hour. So they just went on through the so yeah, I just get this. And how did you apply for the Big Four? Like, did you go through referrals or you applied by yourself on the portal? Like, how did you apply?
So both were through referrals, through
Okay.
some of my friends who were already there, and then I routed it through them. So yeah, both of them were through referrals.
Okay, okay, right. And like, have you seen? So do your entire articleship was in a firm? Uh, it was a firm level
Yes.
experience, right? Okay. So in Big Four, do
Yes.
you see candidates like doing industrial training in IDT profile?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You have industrial trainees in the IDT profile. In fact, even in industry, you have a particular domain where industrial trainees can come for IDT. But what
Okay,
I've felt is the difference between industry and, for that matter, any other CA firm, is that for IDT in particular, if you want to create your career in IDT, do not go for industrial training.
okay.
Go for a CA firm, because you'll get the
Hmm.
flavor of different types of industries. You'll get to work with different industries. Otherwise, if you go for industrial training, you're probably working with just one organization. You're getting the idea of just one industry, which you can probably do after qualifying as a CA also. But at least till the time you're learning, and now the articleship is only for 2 years, right? So when you're learning, and 3 years is, I don't think it's enough to learn entire IDT.
Yes, yes.
So 3 years, you should, I think, focus on maybe consulting firms and CA firms, wherein you get an idea of every industry that they cater to.
Great. And now coming into the identity profile avenues, like what are the various areas you have worked upon and you have idea about? So what are the different types? Even if someone wants to come into IDT, what are the various areas are there like they can work upon? So can you give idea about that?
Sure. So, if you just imagine a flowchart,
Hmm.
IDT, one subject is GST,
Yes.
one is customs and FTP,
Yes.
right? And the third one is basically cross-border indirect taxation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
International.
Yeah, so kind of international, yes, you can say.
Okay.
But the difference between international taxation in DT and IDT is like, I mean, it's quite
Hmm.
different because
Hmm.
international taxation in DT also has implications because you are located in India and you are maybe having a transaction with an overseas entity and there's DDAA coming in, etc. I'm not talking about that. In IDT, what I mean is that, there are a lot of clients who would want you being an Indian chartered accountant to take care of their, compliances, say in Nepal or say in
Okay.
Bangladesh or in
Okay.
Bhutan, or
Okay.
maybe Sri Lanka also. So, basically you get an idea about the other country VAT laws also,
Okay.
indirect tax laws, and then
Okay.
you are actually catering to those kind of clients. So even, I mean, I know a lot
Acha.
of people who are also working for UAE based companies, Dubai VAT. So they are also working on that. So even that comes under indirect taxation itself. But if I talk about majorly what people are doing, what you can expect out of indirect taxation profile is one is GST, which is probably 95% CAs are working in, and the other is customs and SPP. Of course, that's a niche among, I mean, in the indirect
Yes.
taxation profile. So
Yes.
there are very few professionals who are actually doing customs and FTP. Now, if that's the broad subject wise, if I
Hmm.
categorize, but now
Hmm.
if we maybe look into GST profile, same would actually apply to the others also. But broadly, what is the nature of work? One is compliance, wherein
Hmm.
you are helping your clients with the day-to-day, return filing, monthly return filing,
Hmm. Hmm.
as well as the annual returns,
Yes.
right? So that is compliance. The next is advisory. Now,
Okay.
advisory also I can divide into two parts. One
Okay.
is day-to-day advisory and one is high-level advisory. Now, what
Okay.
happens in day-to-day advisory is that you are just like a part of the company and you're like a
Okay.
help desk to them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the
Got it.
tax team is going to come to you. We do not have an SOP for this transaction. This is something new. A new invoice has come. We don't know if RCM is applicable, if we would get ITC
Hmm.
on this or
Hmm.
not. So you actually work as a help desk. You help in the day-to-day advisories, which can be on-call advisory or maybe through emails, or they'll just send you the issue across. So that is your day-to-day advisory.
I've seen this.
The
Yeah.
next one, yeah, the next one is high-level
High level
advisory,
advisory.
wherein you are probably maybe there's a company which is entering into a different domain altogether, a different product line or a different service line.
Right.
So they want to know the nitty-gritties about that particular transaction, and in and out they want to know what the transaction is. So that's
Yes.
when they come to you for a high level advisory, a
Hmm.
different transaction happening, anything like that,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
companies are expanding. This is something very common which keeps
Yes.
happening. And this is
Yes.
actually one of the most interesting activities, I mean, that you could do
Hmm.
in the IDT profile, because you get to know about a new transaction, you get to know about the industry, you get to know about the law, you get to know about, maybe case laws happening around that particular issue. So there's a lot of, opportunity over here as well. And a lot of new clients actually come to you through this particular route, advisory. Then there's a next wing, which is basically due diligence and GST
Okay.
reviews,
Okay.
wherein basically you assist the FDD team in case there's a merger or there's a
Hmm.
demerger, there's a loan
Hmm.
takeover. So
Yes.
there, just like the financial due diligence happens, similarly you have an indirect tax due diligence, wherein you kind of analyze the kind of exposures which the company already has, what are the various potential exposures which the company is maybe they can have, etc. So that is the due diligence part, and GST review is more of a comprehensive health check of the entire company as to whether their compliances are on point, whether they have any pending litigations, if there's any tax position that the company has adopted which may pave way to litigation. Because there are
Yeah.
lots of interpretational issues also in GST. In
Yes.
fact, I'll tell you something as basic as classification. It may
Hmm.
seem very small and very normal, but it is a very big issue because that can actually change the rate of tax applicable on a product.
Right.
And exactly, so that's also a big issue which companies are facing. So complete health check in GST review. And finally, we have litigation. In litigation, you're handling assessments, audits, even appeals. Then you have, matters going up to the High Court, even the Supreme Court. A lot of
Yes.
judgments from the Supreme Court have also come in GST. So, all of that is within the umbrella of litigation, wherein departmental hearings, also you have to attend, appeal hearings, you have to attend. So, that is litigation, which also involves drafting. And I think drafting is like the most important skill in litigation, which I think we as chartered accountants, we actually fear because it's
Drafting. Yes.
eventually drafting. I'll tell you one of my articleship experiences wherein, one of my seniors who was an advocate, he actually told me, he's like, I've had this experience with chartered accountants, not to demean anyone, just a general experience that he had. He's like कि ना मैं बोलता हूँ ना ड्राफ्ट करके दो ये चीज, सर मुझे ये काम है, मैं एक बार आता हूँ, मैं एक बार ये कॉल आ रहा है मैं आता हूँ, मतलब they just kind of run away from drafting
Drafting.
because we are like the king of numbers, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm. Hmm.
है ना, numbers में हमसे कोई नहीं जीत सकता kind of.
Yes.
So if we are so comfortable with working with numbers, we have to actually kind of develop working with words as well. So drafting is one very important aspect in indirect taxation if you're working and if you're looking to create a career in litigations. So yeah, that's how
Great.
the profile looks like.
So, GST compliance advisory, which includes day-to-day and high level, then GST
Right.
reviews and GST
Due
reviews and
diligence.
due
Due
diligence, which
diligence.
involves tax FDD also,
Yeah.
and then you have the final
Litigation.
one, litigation one. So you are into advisory and litigation.
Yeah, so I do advisory. I also do due diligence, GST reviews, and litigation.
Okay.
Compliances, there's a different team who looks after compliance. It's centralized.
Hmm.
It's basically mainly tool based.
Yes.
So that is a different team which looks after. But then, of
Hmm.
course, if there are challenges, then it comes to the advisory team also because eventually you have retainership clients. So it's their
Yes.
compliance itself. So yeah, we oversee all of that if at all there's any problem because it's all SOP based. Apart from that, yeah, advisory and due diligence.
Great. And for the advisory, I have seen it like after joining Power Grid as well. So I can't really insider information, but yes, I have seen this advisory thing in reality. So yeah, it was very detailed, and even I wanted to know like what exactly happens at the ground level, and I really got to know. So if a client gets like suppose a client is being given to you for something advisory or litigation. So how would you like, how does it happen? Like how does a client get engaged and then till the how should I say, जब तक खत्म होगा उनके साथ, like the whole
Okay,
litigation thing or
start to
advisory
end.
thing, start to end, client end to end process with the client. So can you give an
Mhm.
example and like how does it happen and time frame if possible? Like,
All right. So let me tell you, when it comes to advisory, there's no start or end. Okay.
okay, okay.
So again, I would actually divide this into two parts.
Hmm.
One is where, maybe you have a retainership client and they have, engaged you for an on-call advisory or maybe, a high-level advisory. So
Hmm.
in those cases, what happens is it's like you are a part of the company, like I mentioned, and you're a help desk. तो
Yes.
उसका ना तो स्टार्टिंग हो सकता है ना
So
एंडिंग हो
ये
सकता है,
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पीरियड पे
पीएल
होता है
साइन
राइट,
हुआ,
लाइक फॉर थ्री
एग्जैक्टली
इयर्स
एग्जैक्टली
और फाइव
एग्जैक्टली,
इयर्स और या समझ गया मैं।
एंड वो
हम्म।
रिन्यू होते जाता है.
हाँ यस।
वो रिन्यू हो जा रहा
नाउ
है,
आई
मतलब
गॉट
you
इट।
are a part of the company now.
यस।
It's like that. So yeah, so in those cases it's more of you actually helping them with whatever queries they have, creating SOPs,
हम्म।
etc. But yes, when you come to one-time activity which you're doing for the client, So, say for example, there's a client for whom you want to do a GST review. They've come to you for a complete
Mm.
health check as to whether my tax positions are correct or not,
Hmm.
etc. And maybe you have, say, a time frame, because this is actually a time-taking process. So maybe you get a time frame of a month or so, wherein you actually start off with maybe some basic data from the client. You send an IRL to the client, you get the basic data from them, and you start analyzing all of that. Then you may have a
Hmm.
lot of questions, because see, what happens is when you see the trial balance of the company for a fact,
Yes.
so you'll see certain expenses, you'll see certain incomes, you'll want to know whether they've paid RCM on certain expenses,
Hmm.
whether they have taken ITC on certain expenses which you believe should not be available, the
Hmm.
tax position adopted in the sense that whether certain incomes have been charged to what rate of tax, etc. And
Hmm.
there are certain complicated transactions also, wherein maybe some contractual penalties are being collected by companies, liquidated damages and all of that. So all those kinds of transactions are actually analyzed. And then you have like multiple calls with the tax team of that particular company. You try to understand what have they done, what are the potential exposures which they may have based on that. And this also involves a little bit of optimization, wherein we may feel that there's some sort of a transaction which maybe if they route it in a different manner, they will be able to optimize their tax balances. Or maybe
Right.
there's something that maybe they're doing incorrectly, or that can be done more efficiently. There are various such transactions which may happen, right? So
Hmm.
wherein, say for example, there's a company which is actually going and obtaining casual taxable person registration in different states, but we
Hmm.
feel that no, this is something where the invoicing can be done from the head office itself, and they do
Hmm.
not need to take so many registrations at all,
Yes. Got it.
right? So
Hmm.
actually that just increases their cost if they
Hmm.
take
Hmm. Hmm.
multiple
Multiple
registrations.
registrations.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so there can be a number of such scenarios wherein you have to do that analysis and find out what is the better way of working, so cost optimization. And of course the other thing is maybe looking after what are the potential exposures, what is the pending litigation, what is the merit of their pending litigation, whether they should actually book a contingent liability or maybe create a provision for a particular expense and all. So, sorry, a particular case and all. So that is something that we also analyze. So yeah, this is something which actually starts and then comes to an end also with a report with some follow-up questions probably. But yeah, this is something which we normally do. Other than that, it's something that will never end. Every day will be
Yes.
a new challenge for you. Every day you will
Yes.
get a new question. Every day there'll be a new notice coming in. So
Yes.
yeah, so there's no end to all this work.
You
So
have to
yeah,
take up a notification, you have to sit on it, and you have to brainstorm and do the interpretation and
absolutely,
you have to
absolutely,
go ahead. Yeah.
absolutely.
So we do face at the workplace, like for some
Yeah,
invoicing, or we have to okay, we have to give an entry in the SAP. So with GST, which rate should be selected and all. So we'll be referring the SOPs and everything. So whatever drafted. So yeah, I get it. And like as you said, this profile, like all the tax profiles, whatever we have, they are something updation is necessary, as you said, which was a third point in your interview points as well. So on,
absolutely.
like, how do you update yourself? Like, which is like which you do it weekly or daily or as and then you get, or and what are the sources you refer and how do you do it? Like, how do you interpret? What are the tools you refer and how did you develop this skill? Because this is very necessary for someone in the tax profile.
Absolutely. So I think the only mantra over here is read, 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 keep reading. You will be a student throughout your life.
Yes.
This is
Right,
something.
right. Yes.
Exactly. So you have to, consider yourself as a student, and you have to keep learning, keep upgrading. Now, in GST, what happens is every change which comes about in the law is coming through the GST Council. So the
Okay.
GST Council meetings happen, and there's a press release which comes up after every meeting. So
Hmm.
that press release actually gives you a synopsis of whatever has happened in the meeting and whatever changes are going to be coming in. So,
Okay.
the first thing that you should always read is the press release. And the
Hmm.
second is it is always followed by notification circulars. Whatever was decided is actually given effect to through notifications and circulars. Now,
Right.
one thing I keep telling people who ask me about the IDT profile, one, do not rely on Google. Two, do not rely on the views given to you by ChatGPT.
Perfect.
Use ChatGPT very, very smartly. Use AI tools. Definitely, I'm not discouraging that. You should.
Hmm.
But you should at the same time train your AI just like an intern. And you should ensure that that AI also knows about what is the law, how to interpret the law, how to read it, and then what you should be given out of that. Right? So the AI should be trained if you're using AI. So do not rely on Google and AI entirely. Always read the bare act, the notification, and the circular the way the government has published it. Of course, you
Yes.
should read expert opinions to get their views also to understand what the industry is thinking about a particular change.
Hmm.
But it is very, 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 very important to read the bare notification and the bare act, right?
Okay.
Now, basically what happens is one is the GST Council, so GST Council meeting. So after that, you have a press release coming in, and after the next council meeting, you get the minutes and the agenda of the previous one also. So when you are maybe giving an opinion about any particular issue, any particular matter, and if there was a change that was brought about, always refer to the minutes and the agenda of the council meeting to understand what was the reason behind it. Because I'll tell you, one of the most important tools of interpretation is intention of the legislator. You need to know what
Right.
is the intent of the statute.
Why are they bringing
Literal,
this particular? Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
And under GST, we have this benefit of getting the minutes of the meeting, and we know why this particular change has been brought about. So that is very, very crucial. Also, to keep myself updated, because see, there are multiple case laws which keep coming in every single day. So, there are lots of subscription based online, websites, journals, etc., which you can refer to. I personally prefer Taxman, Syntax Online, and TMI. They are
Okay.
updated. You will get to read a lot of articles also over there, and also the case laws keep on getting updated on a regular basis.
Great.
Also, there are lots of subscription based websites wherein they give you daily updates on your WhatsApp. So,
Okay.
they keep sending you news, they keep sending you different case laws or interesting
Good thing.
matters which have happened. So, they
Hmm.
keep sending it to you on WhatsApp. So, you can refer to those also. In fact,
Yes.
Tax Sutra also has this, option wherein they keep sending you updates over email. So,
Okay.
just don't think that this is just a random email, you have to miss it. It doesn't matter. Read it. Kholo
Hmm.
headlines, at least just read the headings. Ye
Hmm.
hua hai aaj. So,
Hmm.
that's how you will be updated, because I'm telling you the key to actually perfection and expertise in this particular domain is reading and staying updated. So these are the
Yes.
various ways by which you can actually stay updated. But yes, read the bare form of the statute. That's the most important thing after all.
Great. Great. Great, Sakshi. Thank you so much for telling these sources as well. And coming to the pros and cons of joining this profile and the challenges you faced right from the beginning, because it was destined and you were there since the day since the act has been introduced. So what were the challenges you faced while developing your interest, and what do you suggest for the people who want to join this profile?
All right. So, firstly, I would say the biggest challenge is obviously keeping yourself updated. Now, if
Yes.
you have an attitude that my job begins at 10 and ends at 7, and that is it, whatever will come to my desk, I'm going to do that and finish. उसका मुझे कोई मतलब नहीं है. Trust me, it will be very challenging for you.
Yes.
Because this is one thing now where, people, I mean, when you're working, obviously you will have enough work to keep you occupied for the entire time that you're working, right? 10 to 7 आप पूरे occupied हो. बट उसके बाद अगर हमने उसके बियॉन्ड कुछ नहीं पढ़ा, इफ यू डू नॉट रीड अबाउट वट एवर इज हैपनिंग अराउंड, or maybe some industry specific issue, or maybe some, like, there's some search which has happened, DGGI has maybe you know uh, searched a particular industry. In that case, you will understand that yes, there is something happening over there. If you do not read, and see, every industry issue will not come to your desk, because you're
Hmm.
not handling every client across the
Hmm.
entire country. There's so much which
Yes.
is happening around. So if you have that kind of a mindset, then this field is very, very difficult to excel in. You have to have that continuous learning attitude wherein, even during the weekends, at least for your own self, you're
Yes.
actually enhancing your own knowledge base, right? So you
Right.
need to keep reading, you need to keep understanding, what is happening around. So yes, that is one challenge which people tend to face if you want a like simple 9 to 5 or 10 to 7 job wherein you don't want to do anything beyond it, एंड उसके बाद आपको नेटफ्लिक्स देखना है, आपको चिल करना है, आपको पार्टी करना है, आपको फ्रेंड्स के साथ बाहर जाना है, आपको सब कुछ करना है, तो फिर एंड यू डू नॉट वांट टू स्पेंड एनी टाइम on your maybe personal branding or even if networking का हम बात करें या फिर updating yourself, and this profile is very very difficult to work in. Of course, I'm not discouraging people from having their own time, because honestly, if you talk about me, then I managed to take out time for my family, also going out for myself, and then doing all of this also. So it's all about time management,
Yes.
and you have to have that attitude that you want to keep learning,
Right.
right? So that is one big challenge which people face.
Hmm.
The best thing about this particular profile is it gives you specialization,
Great.
and
Yes.
you kind of you could actually after a point of time say that yes, I'm an expert in this field. Of course, expert does not mean, oh, I know everything, but yes, you'll be able to solve every problem which comes your way. Maybe it may
Hmm.
take a day or two, or maybe you may have to refer to a lot of other material, you may have to read a lot, etc., but you know that if something comes to you, you will be able to come out of it, whatever be it, right? So
Right.
obviously there are certain cases wherein the client comes to you, but you feel that yes, there's nothing that can be done over here, you have to pay the tax. So if that is the situation, even then you're coming out of the problem, right? You have to know the right way, and you get to have that specialization if you are working in this field, because obviously you're working in day out with that particular law, right? Apart
Yes.
from that, you also get industry specific knowledge, because say for your retainership clients, what happens is you're actually helping them in their day to day work, in their day to day issues. So, you know what happens? Eventually, you get to learn about their entire process. What is their business? How are they doing their activities? What are the various issues that they face? What is the liquidity status of the particular company? Is it facing a cash crunch? Is it maybe having a huge amount of IDC balance somewhere, or whatever it is? You kind of understand the industry very well in this entire process. Plus, I also feel that the demand of good experts, demand
Experts.
of people, yeah, it will never subside, because this is one field which needs people with good knowledge,
Yes.
expertise, and
Hands on.
specialization. Absolutely, hands-on
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
So, if you know the work, there is, no dearth of job opportunities for you. So, the demand for good IDT professionals will always remain, and it is always there. So that is another very important thing. Then, of course, this field is quite dynamic in the sense that it keeps changing. So, honestly saying, for me, every day is a new day for me. It's a new work. I get to maybe talk to new clients every day. There's a new issue coming up. There's something different that keeps happening. So it's not monotonous at all. So you get
Yes.
to know a lot, and plus you keep reading. So
Hmm.
definitely it's quite dynamic. Plus, this field is client facing, so you get to interact with clients. Your
Yes.
communication skills will also improve. You will obviously be able to gather more confidence every time you speak to a client, and you face different types of clients every single day. कुछ कुछ ऐसे
Yes.
clients होते हैं who are very supportive, जो ठीक
Hmm.
है, 2 दिन में आपने ओपिनियन नहीं दिया, कोई बात नहीं. Some are like very very stringent with their timelines. So you get to work with like a lot of different people, and client facing roles are any day better than a back office role. That is what I believe in, for people who like to communicate. So again, that way this particular profile is really very nice. Coming to the, you can say, cons, demerits, जो भी आप बोल लो. honestly मेरे लिए ऐसा है कि I really enjoy working in this profile.
Hmm.
So honestly मुझे ऐसा feel नहीं होता कि there is any downside as such. But yes, the challenge which I mentioned, that you have to keep reading. A lot of people do not have an inclination towards that. Plus
Hmm.
drafting. You have to
Okay.
read and write, right? So a lot of
Yes.
people do not like really like to draft and write so much, because for that you need to like really sit in a peaceful place with nobody
Hmm.
around you. एकदम शांति से काम करना है
हाँ.
kind of. तो वो थोड़ा at times for people it can be boring. But now with AI and ChatGPT, and I think all the
Yes.
organizations they are developing their tools, so ये भी interesting हो रहा है, ऐसा बात नहीं है. So that is one issue which people face. Plus the government, I mean, this depends a lot on the government also. The government policies they keep changing. The government is also introducing technology and trying that everything gets automated and all.
Hmm.
So again, it keeps changing, and people are kind of resistant to change. आप
Right.
एक बार एक चीज से कंफर्टेबल हो जाते हो ना, तो you
हाँ.
don't feel like changing. So
Hmm.
that is another issue which people tend to face in this particular domain. Plus you have like deadlines that you have to adhere to. Compliance deadlines, annual return deadline. अब annual return का due date is 31st December.
Yes.
Everyone is partying and we are working like overtime, 18 hours a day. And that happens in December, to be honest,
Yes.
brutally honest.
Yes.
Like people are, I mean, so my birthday comes in December, and it's like
अरे.
I feel कि सबसे खराब बात तो यही है ना, that the time when I should be celebrating I'm working.
Every
And see,
year.
December is like most every year. And
हाँ.
December is the time when all the organizations have their block leaves.
Yes.
मतलब last 1 week nobody is coming to office. Every team is on their vacation. December में everyone is partying. Our annual get together of office, that also happens in December, and we are like
अरे.
in stress. We are working, so that is one very 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 big downside of this particular domain.
So
That
much reality,
that
guys.
when everyone is in party mood, we are working,
This
and that
hurts.
too in the month which has the best weather across the country.
Yes.
Everybody goes for a vacation and we are working that time. So yeah, so that is one thing. And plus what happens is that when a notice comes, it comes with a deadline, it comes with a due date,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So at times it happens that every week there is a due date that we have to adhere to. So there are stringent deadlines also at times. So obviously that also makes it a little difficult. But then of course you need to be aware of. Every field has some kind of pros and cons. So this is how it is. But this is what I've chosen for myself. And so no regrets, no regrets. And 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 finally, yes, this particular law is jurisdiction specific. So what happens is, if you're working, say, in Indian GST law, so you
Hmm.
kind of have a limitation in the sense that you'll be probably working only in India. If you want to move out of India, you have to actually probably think of a different profile, or maybe the indirect tax law of that country where you're moving to. But it's not that difficult, considering that it's indirect taxation after all. So the basic structure of the law is similar across different jurisdictions also. So it's not that challenging. Plus, when you know interpretation, you will definitely be able to do well over there as well.
So here
So
I have a question, like people who are shifting to abroad, like
yeah,
for to work in their VAT laws or जो भी
yeah,
tax laws है. So like, is Indian CA being accepted there, or is there something like
yeah,
that they have,
definitely. Nothing, you
or
don't have to do anything extra. I know a few people who have been working in India in the GST department, and they have moved to Dubai, say for example, and now they're
okay?
doing Dubai VAT over there. So there's nothing like that, you need to maybe acquire a different degree for that.
Hmm.
Or in fact, I'm sure you're also aware that ICI already has various MOUs with different
Yes, yes,
countries and
yes,
their CA institutes, right? So
yes.
we already have that in place. But as such, for indirect taxation, you don't really need to like maybe have a different qualification or a different degree to move out of the country. Of course, there may be some jurisdictions where there may be some requirements, which is again jurisdiction specific. But broadly, what I've seen that there's no such restriction. You can definitely move out, and there
That
are wonderful opportunities outside India
that
also.
is really, really good. Like, I don't think so. Like every profile offers this advantage. I
Hmm.
think only IDT has, and ye ground, like whatever ground reality have said, like every point is like it is just going into my mind. And coming to drafting also, like
Yeah.
CAs and even with us for our exams में भी इतना कुछ drafting के scope में we don't have. Like most of the company secretaries have regarding the drafting thing because
Hmm.
उनका subjects में I have seen even at my workplace also लाइक कंपनी सेक्रेटरी से ज्यादा ड्राफ्ट करते हैं मतलब उनको जो भी एजेंडा होता है वॉट एवर स्कोप डिफाइन करना और समथिंग एंड दीज डेज एआई टूल्स आर आल्सो देयर बिकॉज उसमें कुछ भी
Hmm.
आप देते हो लाइक विद द सब्जेक्ट एंड ऑल इट गिव्स यू द ड्राफ्ट भी करना
So I'll tell you, drafting is very different from this. So
ओके
like you mentioned, CS and company secretaries, वो लोग क्या करते हैं? They draft the minutes of the meeting,
हम्म
and there's a lot of drafting which they also do. Definitely,
हम्म
वो एक different चीज हो गई altogether. लेकिन if when we're talking about taxation, in fact that
हम्म
applies to direct taxation and for that matter any other law.
हम्म
आप जब ड्राफ्ट कर रहे हो, when you're drafting a reply to a show cause notice, for example, or maybe an
हम्म
appeal, you have to be very, very careful with the words that you use
यस
and the flow in which you've actually written, whatever you've written, because वो सही से communicate होना चाहिए. And
हम्म
plus क्या होता है ना, that हमारा show cause notice का reply that actually sets the foundation for our higher, litigations. Maybe when that matter goes to appeal, high court, supreme court, all of it acts as a foundation. And if यहाँ पे अगर हमने कुछ गड़बड़ कर दी ना, तो obviously it has a repercussion over there. It
यस
has a ripple effect
रिपल
actually.
इफेक्ट
Exactly. So that's why drafting is, not just what we write in our exams and हम जो answers लिखते हैं उसको drafting नहीं बोलते.
यस
That is writing, right?
हम्म
And when you're drafting, I mean, drafting is an art in itself. It's
यस
a skill that you have to develop, and उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं which you have to take care of. In fact, I had taken one session on art of drafting tips and tricks for CAs
ओके
in one of these events, which was organized by EIRC called Run 75,
ओके
wherein, there was 75 days and 75 different speakers spoke on 75 different topics.
ओह दैट्स नाइस
Yeah, and it's all uploaded on YouTube, so you can
ओके
get it over there. It was hosted by EIRC of ICAI, wherein I spoke on this topic, wherein I
ग्रेट
actually covered the different aspects of drafting and how you can ensure that you have given a good draft, and good submission before the department, which obviously included business writing also and drafting. So yeah, that is something which one must develop to be in this domain.
Great, great. And thank you so much, Sakshi, for giving us such good insights. And जो and this skill comes only from the ground level experience. आपको बैठना पड़ेगा लेके डॉक्यूमेंट्स लेके एंड यू हैव टू
Absolutely.
मास्टर इट ओवर द मंथ्स मतलब कई सारे ड्राफ्टिंग करते रहते हो देन यू विल मास्टर इट एंड
And reading
यस
करके भी.
यस यस राइट एंड coming to the industry switches, like advisory thing is a different thing, and you are working in a company in an IDT profile, that is a different thing. Like suppose मैं पावर ग्रिड का एग्जांपल लेता हूँ पावर ग्रिड के अंदर भी टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट है उसके अंदर आईडीटी is an industry IDT profile. So have you seen at your workplace like people are shifting from the big fours to the companies or industry switch? Is the industry switch option available that easily? And you have seen the people and even the exit options as well in the profile. So if you have,
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, they will happily take you.
yes,
If you
yeah,
have worked in a big four or
yes,
maybe a CA firm in this profile and you're moving to industry in that same profile IDT, they will happily take you. And especially if you have worked in that particular industry. I mean, if you've handled clients from that
hmm,
particular industry, you obviously know about that industry in and
yes,
out, right? And you know multiple
yes,
industries, issues maybe of a lot of other maybe service sector, then companies which are maybe involved in the goods industry, FMCG, etc., you get an idea about every other industry you worked with. And then if you want to maybe take up one specific industry from them, obviously they will happily take you. They know that you know what is happening in and around over there.
Yes.
Plus, when you're working in an industry, you're probably more focused on compliance and their
Hmm.
day-to-day advisories, right? That
Advisory.
is what
Yes.
happens. And plus, you help in closing the assessments and audits, etc., which keep
Yes.
happening. But this is exactly what you have been doing in a consulting firm, right?
Yes.
So definitely that industry switch is absolutely possible. People do it. In fact, people also switch from maybe working in a big four to starting up their own practice.
Yes.
So all that options are definitely open for you. You can always switch. Big four में आप switch कर सकते हो. You can even go to law firms for a fact if you have worked in litigation and advisory, because even law firms are catering to IDT clients and उनको भी चाहिए होते हैं good resources. So yes, you always have that option as well. And in terms of exit opportunities, if you talk about, then are you talking about switching within IDT, moving to a different place, or you're talking about moving out from IDT altogether?
Uh, like one of the thing was switching into a company, and
Yeah, which you can.
one was abroad. And if there are any other
That
such
also you
things,
can.
law firm, as you said. So yeah,
That also
almost
you
they are
can.
the exit options, so they have been covered
Right.
well.
Yeah, and if
And
you want to, yeah, tell me.
yeah, one of the questions was mostly CAs, qualified CAs reach out to me. Like they don't have any kind of IDT experience during their articleship. So they have handled audit or DT or just, okay, they didn't touch. But now after
Hmm.
qualifying CA, they want to come into the IDT profile. Okay, so into the big fours or something. So now have you seen these set of people at your workplace who didn't have earlier experience and now they got recruited, they have been taken and now they are doing good. So is this possible? And if possible, like how would you advise to crack the interview?
थोड़ा difficult है.
Yes,
It is,
right.
I have to be honest here.
Yes.
It is difficult. Actually, I'll tell you what happens is, if I compare it with the assurance profile for a fact,
Hmm.
uh, I would see probably 200 people working in assurance, but IDT team ना उसके सामने 20 का होगा.
Okay.
So normally, matlab, this is again, I'm talking about advisory and litigation. Compliance teams are generally bigger because of the volume of work. Therefore,
Hmm.
there are more people over there. But if you talk about client-facing roles, advisory, litigation, which is actually something where you're actually working with the law day in and day out,
Yes.
so यहाँ पे ना team size comparatively is
बहुत छोटा है.
smaller
Yes.
compared to the other domains, right?
Yes.
So, probably somebody, a fresher, would be happily hired in assurance, but IDT में ना difficult है.
Yes.
Because when we are also like, if there's a vacancy, because it's a small team, we have vacancy maybe of one or two candidates, and वो अगर vacancy and हमें पता है that we need somebody maybe at a consultant level, I mean a qualified CA, and we want them to probably handle litigations, तो हम एक complete fresher को probably नहीं लेना चाहेंगे,
Yes.
obviously, which is very obvious because I mean we also don't have
Right.
that kind of bandwidth to train somebody, because there's not like a batch of people coming in together जिनको हमें train करना है. It's
Yes.
one or two people who are hired, right?
Hmm.
So that way it's a little difficult, but I'm not saying it's not possible, particularly in the compliance domain. If you look at the compliance team which I was talking of, over there, they generally hire freshers. They hire people from maybe people who are not even from CA background, maybe
Okay.
even graduates and all of that. So yes, they hire people from I mean people who are
Hmm.
not from the GSE background.
Hmm.
So that is possible in compliance, but in advisory litigation teams, generally it's very difficult.
Very
And plus,
difficult.
what happens is that, mid-sized CA firms, even they have this kind of, an inclination towards people with an experience. But you may stand a chance in a mid-sized CA firm or a mid-sized law firm, wherein maybe they hire people, at a fresher level also. And then maybe after gaining a few years of experience, you can probably think of moving into Big Four. But again, it is a little difficult. We look for people with experience.
Yes, yes, right. वो तो justified है because litigation में you
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
need
It's a
experience.
niche. It's a
Yes,
niche. So
it's
you
an
know you
ish.
need to.
Yes,
Yeah.
and like while recruiting, because like अगर see while recruiting they just mention indirect tax. अब सामने वाले को like for the fresher, how will they get to know like they are being recruited for the compliance or for the litigation or advisory? कैसे पता चलेगा? Do you like
वो
is
तो
it
आप इंटरव्यू
mentioned?
के टाइम ना
Okay,
absolutely your job description will be mentioned when you're being
okay,
hired. Your job
okay,
description will be there. You can always ask that question to your manager as well, whoever is interviewing you, that what
okay.
is the role for which I'm being interviewed for. So yeah, definitely that's something you can ask.
Okay, right. And like, how do you find at the workplace, like the hierarchy levels? Like, how does it start? You joined EY, right? So as a after a post qualification, so at which level did you start, and how much does it go? Like till the senior?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, post qualification, for a few months, I had worked with the law firm which I mentioned, and then I moved
Okay.
to PwC, and then I've come to EY. So normally,
Okay.
what happens is that you have, I mean, the designation may be named
Hmm.
differently in different organizations,
Hmm.
but in Big Fours, it's like you have an associate or a consultant
Hmm.
level. Then you move to senior associate or senior consultant,
Hmm.
manager, senior
Hmm.
manager, director, executive director, partner. That's the
Okay.
hierarchy that you follow
Okay.
in consultancy firms like Big Fours. And
Okay.
if you talk about industry, it's like it begins with manager, senior manager, and it goes up to the tax head. And in fact, you even have the opportunity to even aim for CFO. I mean, this
Okay.
profile will not limit you to being the tax head. You need to broaden your horizon. You can also eye for, becoming the CFO of the company. So yeah, that's how the hierarchy is.
That's nice. That's nice. And like coming to the working hours and work-life balance, like you said about December, but I would like to know like throughout the year, like what are the high points and which months have the high points and like what are the deadlines, which various special days you have. So how would you rate the work-life balance in IDT?
Okay, so work-life balance is one topic which I love to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hannah. So this is something which people actually, I mean, everyone discusses. Like
Yes.
anybody joining your team, they will first ask about work-life balance. So
Yes.
I'll tell
Right.
you, out from my interview experience, my senior, who is currently my senior also, she had very rightly told me once. She had told me, Sakshi, I hadn't asked her about work-life balance. We were generally discussing this. So she had very rightly told me, Sakshi, there's nothing called work-life balance. And I totally agree with her. Work-life balance cannot be given to you by a company.
Hmm.
The company will not say, I will ensure that you have work-life balance. That is your responsibility to ensure that you have work-life balance.
You have to
And for
create it by
that, you have
yourself.
to, exactly, you have to create it by yourself. Now,
Right.
how do you create it?
Hmm.
There is
Hmm.
no organization who's actually going to take care of your timelines and will see that, oh, you have 10 assignments. Okay, we should not give you the 11th one. Nobody's going to do that for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
Perfect.
obviously we are all working. We know this is what happens. Whether you are at the delegating side or the receiving end, this will not happen, correct? You have to ensure that yourself. Now, how do you do that? One, you need to properly plan your to-do list.
Yes.
You need to know that I have bandwidth of doing only this much work. इसके beyond मुझे no बोलना पड़ेगा.
Yes. You
I
have to
need
learn.
you. If you do not say no, you have to learn how to say no. And you have
Yes.
to create that work-life balance for yourself. You need to know how to manage your time. You need to have that skill of time management, to be very honest over here. And एक टाइम होता है ना जब आपको पता होना चाहिए कि अब मुझे लैपटॉप शट डाउन करना है. आप वर्क फ्रॉम होम कर रहे हो या आप ऑफिस से काम कर रहे हो. यू
Hmm.
नीड टू नो दैट एंड दैट इज समथिंग विच यू कैन क्रिएट योर सेल्फ ओनली. You need to learn how to say no. Of course, you can't just keep saying no all the time. You need to understand the timelines of what is given to you, kya clients aap handle kar rahe ho. And plus also you need to understand that what is the team structure. You cannot say no when everybody else is like just getting exhausted with work, right? So
Hmm.
wo bhi aapko
Hmm.
samajhna hoga. But if that is happening on a repeated basis, that means you're understaffed.
Hmm.
वही
Yes.
उसका रीजन हो सकता है.
Hmm.
बिकॉज अदरवाइज हाउ इज इट दैट लाइक व्हेन पीपल से ना दैट हम लोग 18 आवर्स अ डे काम कर रहे हैं एवरी सिंगल डे थ्रू आउट द ईयर, और मे बी 8 months a year we are working 18 hours a day in this profile. Honestly इतना काम है ही नहीं इस प्रोफाइल पे.
हाँ हाँ
नहीं है, हो ही नहीं सकता. अगर
Yeah.
ऐसा
हाँ.
हो रहा है दैट मीन्स यू आर अंडर.
Right.
So
Perfect.
it's not that कि आपको थ्रू आउट द ईयर यू हैव टू स्लॉग 18 आवर्स. डेफिनेटली दिसंबर इज हेक्टिक. दिसंबर में हमारे एनुअल फाइलिंग्स होते हैं. दैट टाइम यू हैव टू फॉरगेट अबाउट सैटरडे संडे मॉर्निंग नाइट सब भूल जाओ आप. सब 24 आवर्स एक बराबर है. यू जस्ट गेट योर टाइम टू स्लीप एंड that's how it is. But yeah, December is challenging, it is
Hmm.
difficult, but I think that's like 1 month in the entire year. And the rest of the time, every it's manageable. ऐसा नहीं
Okay.
है कि आप एकदम एग्जॉस्ट हो जाओगे, आप नहीं कर पाओगे, यू नॉट बी एबल टू मैनेज एंड देयर बी टू मच प्रेशर ऑन यू. ऐसा नहीं होगा. आई मीन आईडीटी इज नॉट दैट काइंड ऑफ प्रोफाइल. प्लस डेडलाइंस होते हैं. बट डेडलाइंस भी अगर आते हैं ना, लाइक अ नोटिस विल कम, इट विल गिव यू 30 days टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू इट.
Okay.
30 days का टाइमलाइन. ऐसा नहीं होता दैट नोटिस कम्स फ्रॉम द डिपार्टमेंट एंड यू हैव टू रिप्लाई टुमारो इटसेल्फ or the
Hmm.
very same day. See, at times,
Hmm.
the department definitely gives such notices, but वो एक अलग challenge है altogether. You can even challenge those notices that the timeline prescribed in the statute is 30 days. आपने मुझे 2 days का ही time दिया है.
Hmm.
That's a different thing altogether. But that idea कि हाँ मुझे ये reply से करना है, तो आई हैव दैट काइंड ऑफ टाइम. सो मैं उसी हिसाब से प्लान करूंगी अपना
Yes.
शेड्यूल. है ना?
Yes.
सो यू नीड टू हैव अ प्रॉपर टू डू लिस्ट. आप टू डू लिस्ट बनाओ. आप इंश्योर करो व्हाट आर द वर्क्स विच यू आर completing in a particular day. Deliverables should be properly timed as to this is when I have to finish this off. And then you won't really face that kind of an issue where you're just not being able to manage. So yes, it is definitely manageable. You have to learn how to manage it.
Yes. This is like really, really good perspective जो आपने बोला कि you have to create it by yourself. I completely agree. मतलब मुझे खुद भी मतलब अपने साइड से I have really understood the point. Like guys, take the notes. इससे अच्छा mentorship नहीं मिलेगा, इससे अच्छा lessons नहीं मिलेंगे आपको. And coming to like the last question which I have, it's been almost 1 hour 15 minutes since we have started, and like every minute it has been going splendid. And like as you said, compliance function mein, like they have been taking even the other qualified people also, apart from CAs, like graduates as well. So litigation maybe or advisory maybe are they taking apart from CAs? ऐसा कुछ आपने देखा है?
Yes, we have advocates in our team. We have CS, CMAs also,
Okay.
CAs भी होते हैं. So, and graduate. So, matlab, actually, what happens is that there is no attest function which is assigned to this particular role. So, over here, it's just about the experience that you have and the knowledge you have. You
Hmm.
will be hired irrespective of your qualification. Obviously,
Yes.
designation and जो भी हमारा CTC होता है वो differ करता है based on different
Okay.
profiles and different you can say qualifications, because that's
Okay.
how the profiles are allocated to you. But apart from that, what is important in this role is that जितने भी departmental hearings होते हैं, whatever representations you do before the department where you're representing your client, over there there's a provision wherein you have to either be a GST practitioner, which is a certificate given to you by the government. Apart from that, you can be a CA holding COP or a CS holding COP, CMA holding COP, or an advocate holding COP. So
Okay.
for representational cases wherein you are representing before the department, you need to have these degrees, or else you have to be an employee of the company, or some relative. So there are certain provisions over there, but in terms of qualifications, this is required in case you are representing the client before the department.
Okay.
Apart
Like
from that, every other qualification is fine.
great, great, great. So ये भी एक advantage है for the other qualifications as well, because
हाँ.
almost CMA में भी is like they have a specialized paper IDT का, so CS में भी है, so and law में तो
Absolutely
होता ही है, so GST का.
correct.
So like this is giving the route to come into this profile. And
Yeah,
guys, my
absolutely.
questions are done. If you have any questions, you can keep it in the chat box. The platform is always open. Uh, the five members, they have been listening since the starting. They have been there, 5 to 6 guys. So if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. We had almost 1 hour, 20 minutes lengthy discussion, like almost covering entire IDT. Even I got to know many, many things which I earlier didn't knew. So about this profile, I'm going to suggest a lot of people to join this particular profile. So if you have any questions, guys, you can keep it in the chat box. Otherwise, we'll wind up the session. So match is going on. Even I will catch up it. Yeah. So
Right,
Shivani has
right.
asked a question. What level of employees represent before department? This is one good
All
question.
right. So, see, it actually varies from firm to firm and client to client. So, a lot of clients have a requirement that we want our cases to be represented, say, by senior manager or above, or manager or above. So, that is a client-specific requirement. Certain firms have this, rule that we would send only managers or above, or senior consultant or above for any representational cases, whereas some other firms, they also had this option that associate and above, or maybe anyone who's qualified and fits into the definition of authorized representative given under GST, they can all go and represent. So again, this is again firm specific and client specific. Otherwise, if you have the necessary qualification, and of course the firm also feels that you are capable enough of representing, they will definitely send you. Otherwise, obviously, it depends on clients.
Great, great. So if any other questions, and you can mention the feedback in the chat box, and even the testimonials as well, guys. So we'll be very glad to know. And Sakshi, I would like to take a good screenshot, good
Yeah, yeah,
picture.
sure. Sure, sure.
Yeah. So yes, guys, and Neha has a question. I'm pursuing my articleship from BDO in ITT domain, as mentioned by Sakshi ma'am, that CA students, if they want to pursue their career in IDT, should refrain from going for industrial training.
Okay, so okay, fine. You shouldn't refrain from going from industrial training. That's not what I said. What I meant was that if you actually want to learn about this entire statute, then a consultancy firm or a big four or even BDO for that matter is a better place to learn rather than going for a specific industry. Because then, that's like specialization ke under specialization. So,
Hmm.
at the time of articleship or industrial training prior to being qualified, I think it's better to get a holistic view of the entire domain, एंड उसके बाद आप कुछ टाइम प्रोबेबली कंसल्टेंसी में वर्क करने के बाद देन यू मे बी मूव टू इंडस्ट्री टू मे बी maybe there's a specific industry which you like and you want to like get into that, तो आप उसके बाद ज्वाइन करो. But otherwise I'm not discouraging you from industrial training. You can go for it, but the learning curve would be much better in a CA firm or a consultancy firm or a big four.
Right.
That's how it
Hmm.
is.
Hmm. Any other questions, guys? Sahil or Sunny? So otherwise, we'll end the session, guys. And finally, so coming to Sakshi, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, she has a question, I think. So my question is, I want to pursue career in IDT, but at the same time, I think that I would not have enough practical knowledge about other fields. Also, I have decided to pursue IT. So will this decision help me? So she's confused whether to continue in IDT or should she like try other fields,
Right.
something like
So
that.
this is an opinion. Uh, I'll tell you that, when you're doing your articleship, आप इतना मत सोचो इस time
Hmm.
that you want to explore some other fields. You always have an option of exploring post qualification also. matlab, it's not that you have learned about one field entirely in 2 years, and now you want to maybe learn about something else, because 1 year में आप क्या ही सीख लोगे. And I'm sure
Hmm.
Sai will be able to give us a good idea about, because he's worked in so many different domains. मैंने तो फिर भी सिर्फ जीएसटी में ही काम किया है. So he'll be able to give us a better idea. 1 year, I feel, is not enough to learn about a particular domain, right? And you always have an option of, maybe trying for 1 or 2 years post qualification also, trying different domains and different fields. If you're not liking this at all, if you're very, very, very sure that मुझे ये नहीं करना है, and this is not something that I've meant to like been be working in that case, definitely you can take that call of moving out and going for an industrial training. But if ऐसा नहीं है that you like just completely dislike this field, then at least work, get to know a little more, and then you can probably go ahead and think of something else in the post qualification time.
See, like here, I would like to keep one point for Neha and Shivani, both for the question. Like during the articleship, try as many fields as possible, as Sakshi said, because already you guys, if you had IDT experience, it will come on your CV, and post qualification, so you can further try in IDT profiles because you already have the experience. It will count, and even if you want to expand your your profile, like if you want to go into some other industry or any private company or MNC or something, your other experience, like in industrial training into finance area or something, might help. So it will open your area much more. You will be, अगर IDT में ही पूरा आपको passion है, then continue in it. अगर ऐसा नहीं कि try करना है, then try. That is also much better during articleship because that is the only time where you can experiment. बाद में आप नहीं कर सकते post qualification, बहुत कम chance मिलेगा experiment करने को. Yes. And Neha has another question. Can you please help about how it is learning in startup companies?
Learning in startup companies. So yeah, definitely. I mean, in startups also, like I know somebody who was earlier working in Deloitte, and then she moved to a startup in Gurgaon, if I'm not wrong. And
Okay.
then she's again back to Deloitte. But in the startup also, she was working in the taxation domain, and she was
Hmm.
over there looking after both direct and indirect taxation. Considering it was a startup, so they did not have a lot of volume of work in IDT in particular. So they had a combined domain for DT and IDT. So she was working over there, and I think she told me that she had a good experience, because the way a startup works compared to how maybe a big four or an MNC works, it's obviously quite different. So it was a really good opportunity for her, wherein she got the hands-on of direct taxation as well. And
Hmm.
when you're into a startup, I feel that you kind of get involved in a lot of other things apart from just your specialization, because of the volume of work. It may not be that much. So you get to know a little more about the business as well, and maybe even taking certain decisions with respect to the business as well. So yeah, startup is a good place to work at. But then if you talk about from a learning perspective and a specialization perspective, then I believe that startup would not offer you that kind of specialization in a field per se. But yeah, definitely you can definitely try, because that's going to give you a hands-on of an entire business, how it functions, and a little more beyond your core area of expertise. So
Great.
definitely you can
And
try that.
you must have been doing this day-to-day advisory or high-level advisory for the startup companies. Have you
Yeah,
done?
so it depends. It depends. Yeah, of course, definitely. It depends from, what is the client you're catering to. So we definitely have a lot of companies who are planning to set up, say, a business in India. Maybe they were located overseas. They're planning to set up in India, or they're wanting to start something new in India. So, before they actually get into it, they take an advice from us as to what are the various tax implications, or for a fact, even now that Gift City has come, so a lot of people are actually setting up their offices over there. So they also want us probably to do an analysis as to whether we should set up an office in Gift City, or we should probably maybe go for some other SEZ or maybe some other city, in terms of, the logistic costs and all, and what
Yes.
are the various tax benefits which are available. So
Hmm.
yeah, definitely we have a lot of such clients also whom we are catering to.
Right, right. Thank you. And any other questions, guys? I think the questions are done.
I
Thank
think
you.
there is one question,
Which was,
whether we can move from IDT to finance domain. Shivani.
hmm. Yeah, if you want to take up.
Yeah. So again, this is also something. I mean, I know somebody who has moved from IDT to finance, FP&A domain.
Okay.
But in his case, he had some prior experience in
Okay.
finance, which is why the switch was easier for him. I wouldn't use the word possible, because I
Hmm.
believe that possible तो हमें नहीं, impossible तो कोई चीज होती ही नहीं है. So
Hmm.
it is all about, how well your interview goes, and where are you applying for, what is the position, etc. Now, if you expect कि अगर मैं अभी एक senior manager के designation पे apply करती हूँ for say international taxation in Deloitte, for example, they will obviously not take me, because उस level पे they need somebody experienced, right?
Yes.
But for a fact, if I want to move into say finance at maybe not a fresher level, maybe with 1 or 2 years of experience as senior consultant or deputy manager or something, in that case, I may stand a chance, provided whatever they are working with, मतलब उसका मुझे कुछ idea होना चाहिए. मतलब I can't just go there and not know anything and not have anything to answer. So if you're aware of things, if you read about it, then definitely ऐसा नहीं है कि आपके लिए doors close हो जाते हैं once you've moved into taxation. You can definitely explore other fields. You can have other opportunities. You can get many opportunities. मतलब बस ये है कि you have to be open to options. You have to be open to probably maybe a change in your designation at times. In fact, I know somebody who switched from IDT to move to a law firm into a different domain altogether with a pay cut, because he
Oh,
wanted to he wanted to actually create a career in litigation, and wanted to work in a law firm and not just hardcore IDT. So that's something that you have to take a decision, and eventually देखो सब match हो जाता है एक point के बाद. It doesn't
yes.
matter, but that one decision you have to take, wherein you have to say probably accept that kind of thing. But I'm not saying that is something that will happen and inevitable है, ऐसा नहीं है. You can definitely move on to a different domain altogether. That option is
Great.
always there.
Great. 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 Thank you so much, Sakshi, for answering in such a detailed way and in such practical way, like which matches exactly with the reality. And it's been almost 1 hour 35 minutes, I think now. So it went really, really good. I enjoyed every minute of it. I learned from every minute, every sentence you spoke. It was really highly insightful, and I feel very good with the feedbacks as well from the attendees. It was very nice, guys. Thank you so much for your feedbacks. And thank you so much, Sakshi, once again, for accepting my invitation and coming to the webinar, for your time and sharing all the insights. This webinar will be on the YouTube in 1 2 days, so you guys can see there as well, and it will be posted on LinkedIn and everywhere. So thank you so much for everything. If you have anything to say, then stage
Thank
is
you so
open.
much, Sai, for having me here. And I feel, I again, like I said in the beginning, you're doing a wonderful job, and I really enjoyed interacting with you. And this entire discussion actually helped me, like, take a walk down the memory lane. So,
Hmm.
मतलब मुझे मेरा पूरा सीए जर्नी एक तरह से एक फ्लैशबैक मूवी की तरह मेरे सामने आ गया.
Right.
So it was wonderful experience. And kudos to you for doing a wonderful job and this entire initiative. It is, I think, very good. And I'm going to share the video link also with a lot of people. I'm actually getting messages from people who have not been able to attend for some reason or the other. Match के दिन हमने ये रख लिया. session.
I didn't like
So
पहले मुझे
definitely,
strike नहीं
uh,
किया था but it's fine I think like it's
no
okay
worries, no worries. ऊपर से केकेआर आरसीबी आज तो
हाँ हाई प्रोफाइल मैच है
मैं
काफी
कोलकाता में बैठी हूँ हाँ
हाँ
तो भाई इम्पोर्टेंट मैच है आज anyways it was a wonderful interaction. Thank you so much, Sai, and thank you
Okay.
everyone.
It was really nice, guys. Thank you so much for your feedbacks and it was lovely, guys, to have all of you for constantly being there since the beginning. And okay, guys, let's end this webinar. I'm stopping the recording.